Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to continue this afternoon's program and introduce Professor Yuli Liu of the Hong Kong Institute of Sinology Limited, who will speak on the subject of the governing principles of ancient China, the importance of teachings from the saints. Professor Yuli Liu, if you would like to come up.
Distinguished ministers, ambassadors, reverends, guests of honors, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. I'm much honored to be here at the UNESCO headquarters to learn from each other on the governing principles of ancient China. This is the 70th anniversary of the foundation of UNESCO. 70 years ago, the anti-fascist war has come to an end. People who have suffered during the war have sought ways to guarantee the stability of the world. UNESCO is born under such circumstances. And today, we are holding a dialogue among cultures and faiths in an attempt to explore, to promote peace through education. This is the original objectives, overarching objectives of UNESCO and governments all over the world. This is the best way to celebrate the 70th anniversary of UNESCO. And we have all come here with the feelings of elder. This elderly person was forced to leave his home village because of wars, and he has passed his youth in wars. His suffering for being away from home, and his relatives make him realize that such suffering shouldn't be passed on to future generations, so that although he's almost 90 years old, this year he has taken the trouble of visiting various countries and to speak on peace and stability. Our monk, during the 3 months between March and May, has been to Malaysia, Singapore, Taiwan, Japan, and France to speak on the Buddhist Sutra. After this conference, he will continue to the UK, to London, and the University of Cambridge for an exchange of this interfaith dialogues that reminds of us of the story of the ancient monk who traveled to India to search for the Buddhist scripts in China, as well as in the history of Buddhism in the world. He has made his valuable contribution, allowing many people to understand the value of ancient wisdom. In his speeches, he emphasized on the need to learn from the ancient culture, especially to learn from the governing principles of ancient China. It's a compilation of the ancient wisdom. What I'm talking today are excerpts from this governing principles. We'll study on 3 issues. Firstly, why is it that we need, the contemporary world need such education. What is the core value of the Chinese ancient education? In other words, what's the difference from those in the West? And thirdly, how do we conduct such education so as to make it popular? The first issue, why do we need such ancient education? Mencius has said that simply to feed oneself is almost like leading a life of animals. He has enough to eat, enough to wear, and lead a peaceful life. But without education, he would succumb. He would become animals. So that Mencius the difference between man and animals is the little thing of education. And humanity has kept this little thing. What is it? That is, man knows this the value of civilization. Now, looking the world over, we see the emergence of environmental degradation, corruption, food insecurity, food safety, and the dark forces of extremism. And this is the result of a lack of education. Of course, you would understand, you would say that we would only have if only we could have a strict and severe legal system, we would reach the same purpose. And we do not need to go through education. But if we ignore the importance of education, we will not be able to solve three issues. Firstly, we cannot take preventive actions. In the ancient writings, it said that legalists, the aim of legalists is to take preventive actions so that people would not commit evil acts. Legal sanctions are to be taken when offenses are made, when sanctions are given. But the consequences are unavoidable transgressions. And this can be seen from the difference between Chinese traditional medicine and Western medicine. Bian Quan was a famous physician in ancient China, and the emperor once consulted him, saying to him that you have two elder brothers. Who among three of you has the best art in medicine? Bian said, it should be my eldest brother. Why so? Because for my eldest brother, he takes measures of preserving one's health before the disease has taken place. So that, but the eldest brother's reputation does not go beyond his village. My second brother has another kind of reputation. When little symptoms appear, he will take remedial actions, but his reputation doesn't go beyond the neighborhood. But my reputation is the least among three brothers, but my name is known all over the country because I will treat the patient only when his disease has come to a very serious stage, when surgery is needed, and to give him this medicine and to save him from death. And his words were much admired, that Bian Quan was able to save life from death. That's why his reputation is known all over the country. So that from this little story, we could understand that Western medicine enjoys a higher reputation than Chinese traditional methods, and also why Western management is considered as better than Chinese way of administration, because the Chinese stress on prevention, by giving the impression that the Chinese are not doing anything. There is one more example. For example, if your house catches fire, somebody puts the fire out, how would be your reaction? You would be very grateful to these neighbors. But for those experienced persons, older persons, they have already reminded you years ago to repair your chimney and to take preventive actions so that your house is safe in all your lifetime. But you never say a word of thanks to this elderly. For the same reason, if a person is not imprisoned in a jail, if somebody is able to rescue him from the prison, how would the prisoner react? The prisoner and his whole family would be so grateful to these persons. Where is the issue? The issue is those who impart education on benevolence and refrain from greed and corruption, to pay respect to the elders, not to offend against the law. If you have taken all this advice, you will not be jailed in your whole lifetime. But do we say a word of thanks to these people? On the contrary, we think that listening to this advice is a waste of time. We do not know how to be grateful to these persons. Such an anecdote shows that this ancient education has been ignored because people do not see the importance of this education. If we ignore moral education and to put emphasis on legal system, that would lead us to a second problem. We will lack a sense of shame because we are afraid of the punishment from the legal authorities. But these persons would not necessarily have a sense of shame. We see many antisocial activities in our world. For example, when I was doing my doctorate in the UK, British TV were discussing on the ways to deal with youth crime in the country. Youth crime is a very serious problem in the UK, considered as the greatest shame for the country. A very serious problem, although they are not in contravention of legislation, but it is a big threat to the society. For example, this drug taking, alcoholism, they are not yet punishable by law because they have not attained the age of majority. The parliament has conducted many meetings on ways of dealing with them. No solution has been found. In the ancient script, it has been said that law can execute children who do not take care of their parents, but it cannot teach them to practice filial piety like Confucius and Moses did. Criminal law can punish thieves and robbers, but cannot make them as honest as Bo Yi. Confucius had 3,000 students, and all of them were dutiful, respectful, and courteous, both at home and in the community. If we put emphasis on law, then we have a third problem, as said by Lao Tzu. that there will be increasingly more criminals. Legal clauses could be more detailed, more severe, penetrating every field of life, but antisocial elements would increase in number. For example, prisons are overcrowded. The police force lacks personnel. A severe law could imprison a criminal. But can we resolve the question once and for all? In the prison, prisoners are learning from each other to be more criminal in nature, so that during an international conference, a Western scholar, a lady, said in a sarcastic way that you Chinese should not copy from the West. Why so? Because in Western countries are not as idealistic as you imagine in China. Quite on the opposite, we are viewing in the West as what Lao Tzu described 1,000 years ago. This is a very rare comment from a Western intellectual. Jails become overcrowded and the police are always short-handed. We cannot prevent from people from, without eliminating the evil thoughts in people's minds, but instead trying to force people to get rid of their evil conduct using the law and punishment only makes them more rampant. This leads us to one conclusion, that if we have the correct mind, the country would be suffering. Many issues emerge precisely because the mind has degenerated, and we cannot use legal means to raise the consciousness in people's minds. The second issue, the core value of the ancient education compared to Western education. What are the features of the Chinese ancient education? If we say that religious takes an important place in the Western education, then morality, ethics occupy the same place in the ancient Chinese civilization. In the morning, our old man has said that the love between father and son, righteousness between leaders and subordinates, distinction between wife and husbands. We have to emphasize on the second point, that is the righteousness between leaders and subordinates. That will lead us to a better understanding of the Chinese style of management, of administration. Leader here is comparable to a leader in a company. He should not lead not only subordinates, he should set examples as parents would do to their children. And that is not enough. He should at the same time be teachers and professors teaching him how to treat others, so that leaders should have three functions: leader, relative, and teacher. This is the essence of the Chinese way of management in the Liji. When Zhichang was governing the state of Zheng, he instituted a strict administration system so that no loopholes were available to the outlaws. Nobody dares to deceive him. He has reached such a state of governance that the system is the strictest case in the ancient China. When Simon Bao was governing the county of Ye, he instituted very harsh laws that made people tremble with fear when they wanted to do anything bad. But in reinforcing the legal system, he put stress on Confucianism, especially on benevolence. And finally, he has reached a state where population does not have to disappoint him. Umachi, one of his classmates, would like to know his way of governance, and he paid a visit at night to the city of Sanfu. He saw a person fishing in the darkness. He caught many fishes, but after taking a look, he released all these fishes back into the river. And he found it strange that the fisherman that I saw you catching many fish, why do you put them back in the water? And how does this person reply? He said, our governor said not to catch those little fishes that are still living. And what I've just caught are just these little fishes. That is why I put them back into the river. After listening to him, he was much moved and went back to Confucius and told him the story. The point is that even though there is no one supervising, no supervisor, this common people is able to reach the state. Confucius replied that I've heard that if that such an influence would be propagated far and away. This is how governance is practiced.
So, you see there is a difference. There are those who dare not transgress the law and others who do not want to, out of shame, transgress the laws. And there is a big difference between them. And so now we can apply it to our governance. Which one is the preferable? I think the answer is very obvious. I want to ask you, what is the wisest governance, the best governance we have seen nowadays? If you are from a company, if you are an entrepreneur, if you want to choose between a company which has a 5,000-year history and another one with 200-year history, which one would you choose? Of course, I think you will choose the one with 5,000 years. A company with 200 years history must have its virtues, because otherwise it wouldn't even have last for 200 years. But I don't think it is comparable to the one with 5,000 years history. But in China, after the Cultural Revolution and other turmoils over the 100 years, we in China lost the confidence, the trust in our traditional culture, and the result was that an ancient civilization with 5,000 years history has to learn from countries with much shorter history of civilization. Many of our experts went to United States or other European countries to learn their experience. Our experts were at the General Electronics, but the experts at the General Electronics said, actually we learned from our Japanese colleagues. You can go there and learn. So the Chinese experts went to Japan to see the experts over there. But the moment when they arrived at Toyota in Japan, before they entered the company, they saw some words in Chinese, of course, which says if you don't want anything, you should not impose that on others. So that is from Analects of Confucius. So we would have to admit that all the successful entrepreneurs in the Western countries, they have learned from ancient Chinese civilization. For example, in Japan, some famous Japanese entrepreneurs have capitalized on the Confucianism. They have used the knowledge from Analects. That's how many founders of big companies turned around their companies on the brink of bankruptcy and made their companies successful businesses. The Chinese journalists went to Japan to interview some of the successful entrepreneurs in Japan, and most of the time they would reply, they would say that I used all these traditional Chinese wisdom, and that's how I succeeded in turning my business into a successful one. After the financial crisis, many entrepreneurs are at a loss. They were saying that in the past we studied from Lehman Brothers, but now they are bankrupt. So now who are we going to learn from? And we have seen, of course, other open-minded entrepreneurs. Later on, you will hear from a Chinese entrepreneur from a Good Arc company in China. These entrepreneurs are open-minded, and they decided to learn from 1,000 years the traditional Chinese culture and civilization. And so it is only now that our entrepreneurs realized the values of traditional Chinese morality and this ancient way of governance. Because in our traditional culture, what we emphasize is that both the leaders and the subordinates have to do their own jobs and to shoulder their own responsibilities. That's the only way that everything could bear fruits. All the efforts can bear fruits. During the Asian financial crisis in the 1990s, many Western companies were not able to pay their employees because of the financial crisis, because they were bankrupt. And many employees, they would go on demonstrating in the street, and they were not happy with the way they were treated. But during that time, you know what happened in South Korea? The employees in South Korean companies, they were not having a strike. They decided to contribute their savings to put it in the hands of their employer. They said, all these years, we were able to live a good life to support our families because of you, thanks to you. So now our companies are going through difficulties. We are ready to help you. So please use our savings and this capital. One day when our companies get better, of course you can pay us back. So you can see the influence of the Chinese culture, the traditional morality. It not only has influences in mainland China, it also has influences in other Asian countries, including South Korea, Vietnam, and other Asian countries. But then you might ask a question, why the Chinese have never put forward the concept of human rights? Is it because the Chinese culture is lacking behind of Western cultures? But if you have a better understanding of the virtues, the values of Chinese morality, you will understand that there is no necessity, there is no need to talk about human rights, because in Chinese traditional culture, we talk about some cardinal virtues, and many companies in China also use these virtues to train, to educate their employees. Of course, in Chinese companies, there are employees who are not happy with their bosses, with the way they treat, but their attitude is still quite different from those in Western companies. I can give you an example. One employee working in a Beijing in a company in Beijing want to see his boss after he received the yearly bonus, saying, my boss, I think I have received too much bonus this year, so can I give you back some of money and we can use this dividend for other things? We can provide a better education for our employees. So you see, the way that they are not happy with their bosses is quite different from the way that a Western employee feels. That is because they are grateful towards each other. The employees are grateful to their bosses, and the bosses are, of course, grateful to their employees. There will be no bargains among them. That's why in China there had never been the mention of the human rights, the concept of human rights. It is not because it is more backward. And another issue, environmental protection. China was not the country who put forward the concept first. That is because in Chinese culture, human being and nature are one. They are part of each other. That's why environmental protection has never been an issue in China. And also, the Chinese had never had problems with mental health, because we see that in Western countries, a lot of people have to see psychologists and and they have to seek some medical assistance. But in China, no, there had never been this kind of practice, because everybody has to meditate and being healthy in mind and in body, and then families will be healthy and the country will be stable and prosperous. That's why in China there had never been the mention of mental health and other issues. But I think you can try it out if, for example, one day you feel unpeaceful or you feel distraught. You should have a look at some ancient Chinese classics. Then many of your problems will be solved immediately. That's why I'm saying that in China we had no psychologists, because we didn't have so many mental issues, mental problems. And the third part of my lecture is about how can we advocate this kind of morality education. I think our experience shows is that the first thing we should do is that we should have a very good family education, school education, society education, and a religious education. All of them should be the integral part of the morality education. In China, there is the saying that if you want to build a country and make it prosperous, you have to start with education. That's the only way to have a good governance. Teaching a person to be a courteous and moral person is the foundation of all. Moral education is the key of the morality education. That's why we have to ask ourselves, what is the problem of modern education? We think the most important issue right now is there's too much stress on scientific education, and morality is not emphasized enough. In China, we have a very famous university, and which enrolled a student who had the highest scores during the graduation tests. But the student had to take the test 3 times to be enrolled at this school. Why did it take him such a long time, so many times, to be enrolled, to be accepted by this school? Actually, the reason is that the student himself was rewarded after the first time when he had the highest score. The amount was very high, and he found the reward for his high score was very interesting, was very useful. So he decided to take the test again instead of going into the school. So he repeated it 3 times to earn a lot of money. So you can see, by taking tests, he earned a lot of money. It looks really smart. And he has also found a good job, which is to lecture on how to get high scores at these tests. In China, we stress faith and integrity. Integrity is the fundamental value for being a kind person. But this student doesn't feel that he's being unfaithful and he's doing something wrong, and nobody else has accused him of any wrongdoing. And so you can see the problem is that this student, even though he's smart enough, but he doesn't have good virtues. He doesn't have the right morality. If we compare him to a product, we have high-quality products. He is not a good high-quality product because even though he is of high quality technically, he doesn't have the virtues, so he is less than perfect after he's being manufactured. We can even say that he is poisonous because even though he has the talents, he is smart enough, but he can even bring harm to society. And there are, of course, another category of people who do not have any talents, but also they don't have any virtue. So those are completely useless to our society. But now, in China, in our education system, our problem is that we are producing more and more poisonous talents who are smart enough, but they don't have virtues. We have seen so many unfortunate incidents, hackers or murderers who attack innocent people. So from here we can see the importance of morality education. In ancient China, the education always starts within families. In ancient China, Tairen, the mother of King Wen started the fetal education when she was pregnant with the King Wen. During her pregnancy, she wouldn't look at any ugly things. She wouldn't say any ugly words. And in the end, she gave birth to this boy. When the boy was born, even before he opened eyes, he started learning from the world. Everything he heard, everything he felt would have footprints, would have legacy have influence on how he would come out. And of course, Wen Wang, the King Wen, became a very wise king in the history. But nowadays, we don't see that anymore. Many mothers, even when they are breastfeeding their children, they are angry. They are angry towards others. They are angry toward children. How can you expect to have wise and children of wise children who have high morality? Another important value for the Chinese people are the respect for ancestors. In the past, in many Chinese families, we had these altars to pay tribute, to pay respects to our ancestors. The elders will talk about the ancestors, one of the ancestors who made contributions to the society, what he did, what he said, all these things, and they would teach their children not to bring shame to the family.
So this is about filial piety. So if we can have filial piety, of course we will take care of our parents. It's impossible that he has this cult of ancestors and not be filial to his parents. And next is the education at school. Here, the content should be to teach how to respect your parents. This morning, Master Cheng Kong has mentioned this. Actually, if you look at the Chinese character for filial piety, the top part means old or elderly, and the lower part means children or younger ones. So filial piety combines these two words. In the past 5,000 years, there has never been a generation gap in Chinese culture because children have to communicate and take care of the parents according to traditional culture. Between different generations, there has always been an unity. So, filial piety can also be compared to Buddhist theory or doctrine, or Buddhist nature, which is measureless light. And in Taoism, it means we share the same roots with sky and earth. We can merge with everything in the nature. This is how Taoism sees it. So, this oneness or this unity means there will be no conflict in human relationship. Mencius also said that the ancient kings also put high emphasis on filial piety. For example, Shun or Yao, they are both very famous people for their filial piety in ancient China. For example, Shun had two stepbrothers who wanted to kill him. But Shun not only did want to take revenge, Shun thought about their parents. So he treated his stepbrothers very well. That's why his stepmother has been touched by this filial piety. Shun, the story of Shun tells us a benevolent person should have no conflict with anyone. And that's why we say a benevolent person has no enemy. Or they are not against others. Benevolent people are not against others. This is the essence of the Chinese ancient culture. That's why we turn enemies into friends. And how? Simply by benevolence and compassion. That's why all nations lived in harmony in ancient China. For example, in Tang Dynasty, Tang kings were very strong because they used this benevolence to govern. That's why all nations under the world came to China, including from afar. And when they came to China, they have to pass 7 gates or 7 different persons to pass their message. That's why we see there were so many foreign nations who came. That's why we also call ancient Chinese king a universal king. And they were so not because of their strong power. It's because they governed the country with courtesy, with benevolence. And that touched other nations. That's why they saw Chinese kings as universal kings. That's why there was no hegemony, because Chinese kings lived by example. And how can Chinese culture contribute to world peace? It's simply because we have this filial piety, this benevolence. So for ancient people, filial piety is quite important whenever it's towards your parents or siblings. Then you enhance it. You can treat others outside family with the same filial piety or benevolence. And then you can further enhance it. You can help people you don't know. You can help others with the same mentality. In 2008, there was a big earthquake in Wenchuan in China, and Chinese government has taken swift measures. And in Haiti, during this earthquake of Haiti, Chinese rescue also arrived very quickly. That's simply because we have this mutual, reciprocal benevolence. And you can further enhance it, and you can achieve world peace. This is what Mr. Xi Jinping called Chinese dream. The rise of China will not be a threat to the world. It will be a force of stability and happiness for the world. This is what Mr. Xi said at UNESCO last March. Since wars began in the minds of men, it is in the minds of men that the defense of peace must be constructed. And in Chinese culture, we can see this concept of peace. We are convinced like Mr. Toynbee, his British historian, that in order to solve problems of this century, we can also rely on Chinese traditional culture. Mr. Toynbee studied different cultures and civilizations in the world, and from this point of view, he made this claim. I think this must be right. Then another level of education is education at society, within a society. This can be music, novel, etc., etc. But you have to abide by the Confucian concept, which is there should be no evil thoughts behind all this. For ancient people, whether it be music, novel, performance, or arts, it should teach people to be good. Confucius, whenever Confucius went to a place, he listened first to their music, their pop music, before asking about how it's governed. By listening to the pop music of different places, he can know the social situation of the place. So, which kind of pop music should be prevalent? According to the Book of Rites, the motivation of ancient saints when they establish ritual and music, it's to teach people how to be good, how to be on a good track. Another ancient classic called 吕氏春秋, according to it, the music in chaotic times played by wood and leather sounds like thunder. Played by metal and stone, it would sound like thunderbolt. And if played by strings and bamboo, it would sound annoying. It is acceptable that this kind of sound is used to interrupt mind, stimulate senses. However, it is improper to regard it as music because it could not make people happy. Hence, the more indulgent the music is, the more depressed the people are. The country will be more in disorder, and the leaders will be more ignoble. The music would then lose its original meaning. So, music, a lot of music is not useful for cultivate a good personality. When in our laboratories, we carried out experiment on water crystallization. If you go to this exhibition outside, you understand. So that's why we call the ancient Chinese culture the culture of rites and music. If you use rites and music, you can help people to cultivate a good personality, and then you can reach your ideal objective of education. Then there is still another level of education, which is religious education. Whether it be Islam, Christianism, or Judaism, or other religions, when they came to China, kings, emperors back then opened their books. The Chinese emperors saw benevolence and fraternity in their books, so they are very happy that different religions came to China. Because it's like in China, because you can be different, but everybody lives in harmony. This can be shown in music. There are different notes in a song or a melody. That's why a melody is pleasant. If there's only one note, it would not be listenable. It's also like in a big garden, you have different flowers of different colors. That's why it's beautiful. If there's only one color in your garden, I think it's very monotonous. And in Chinese culture, we put high emphasis on differences in harmony. So whether it be Judaism, Christianism, Islam, or Buddhism or Taoism, maybe in their appearance, from outside they look different, but deep down they teach the same thing: benevolence and fraternity. That's why the ancient Chinese emperors welcomed these different religions from outside China. Secondly, we should prioritize different things in the moral education and then put forward different systems to secure a good moral education. Where should we start in a moral education? For Chinese, it must be filial piety. Because when you were born, when parents are the most important people for you, they raise you. If you are not grateful for your parents, if you don't respect your parents, so you will never be grateful for anyone in this world. So, in your life, you should have filial piety, and this should be the guiding principle of your life. If you don't have this, you will only have greed. You will only pursue your own interests, irrespective of others or harm it can produce. So, the book of filial piety says, if you don't love your parents and you love others, it's not right. It's not correct. It violates the morality. In the Analects, there is such a story. The king of Lu asked Confucius, there are 5 mishaps in the world. For example, when you build your house in a certain way, etc. And Confucius says, I heard there are 5 mishaps under this world, but build your house towards the east is not one of them. So, which are these 5 mishaps? For example, benefit yourself at the expense of others. This is a first mishap. You abandon the elderly and spoil the children in your family. This is another mishap. Your children will become a sort of small king in your household. This is a mishap. Then, you don't use honest people and you use cunning people in your court. This is another mishap. And then, when the elderly do not teach the younger ones, or the younger ones do not want to learn, this is another mishap. The final mishap is when saints hide themselves and stupid people are ruling the world. This is the ultimate mishap. And then Confucius said, okay, with these 5 mishaps, and what you just mentioned, building your house towards the east, is not one of them. You may have already heard feng shui, a very important Chinese concept. For example, this means the overall natural environment can influence on your fortunes. This is what we call feng shui. And what's actually the real feng shui? Confucius said, a good field with good feng shui depends only on your minds and heart. So, it's within your heart that you can have good feng shui. Fortunate people live in fortunate places. That's because you have fortunes already in your heart. This can bring good feng shui to your place. So, even if you choose a place of so-called good feng shui, but you are not virtuous, after a while, this good feng shui will erode, will disappear or destroyed by your bad morality. Or, on the contrary, if the place maybe does not have good feng shui from the outset, but you, being a virtuous person, if you live here, you can turn this around. That's why we say, if you accumulate merits and good things, you will have fortune. This is the truth. And there is another problem, which is corruption. That's because it's too bureaucratic. But actually, in ancient China, people respected bureaucrats or mandarins. That's because the ancient officials are selected according to a certain criteria. You have to be virtuous to be selected to be an official in court. And the same with the salary. If you don't have any merits, you don't have any feats of sort, you will not get salary in ancient China. So, the higher place you occupy, the more virtuous you have to be. That's why in ancient China, leaders and officials were well respected because of their virtue. So, moral education was not dead letters in ancient China. It was put in place and secured by different mechanisms and systems. For example, in selecting officials, people could select people of integrity or with a high filial piety, and they can become officials. This was one of the criteria in ancient China.
To avoid appointing his friends and relatives, there is a safeguard system in place. The candidates proposed by a local official is used by the highest authority of the state. On the contrary, the local official would be severely sanctioned in such a way as to ensure the best persons are appointed as leaders, ensuring the success of a social order. Lastly, the biggest difference between West and China. Why is it that the Chinese always blame themselves and not others? This is written in the ancient texts. Officials are not blaming each other, otherwise disorder will take place. Whenever an issue occurs, everybody reflects, what is my responsibility for the disaster? How do we reduce the scale of the problems so that in the ancient time, This is how children are taught, to find faults with the person himself and not to lay the blame on others. We are all here to promote world peace, to be assembled here. So that I suggest we should also reflect on this point. It was said that a philosopher said, I've never hated a person. There's no one that I cannot not forgive, because peace has to be built from our inner self. If there's conflict in our inner heart, how could we promote world peace? I hope that from today onwards, we will do as our Venerable monk said this morning, that there's no one that I hate, there's no one that I cannot forgive. Lastly, I wish you good health, and I wish happiness for every people in the world and peace all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor, for this fascinating presentation.